Salmon from Tasmania is sold in supermarkets across the country, across the world, and enjoyed regularly in many households. For decades, we've been told it's healthy, clean and grown in environmentally pristine conditions. But a new book describes the industry as an elaborate and highly successful con job. It claims the salmon industry is poisoning Hobart's drinking water and degrading waterways, and describes packed fish being grown in filth.
The Tasmanian Salmon Growers Association says the impact of this book will be deeply felt by the more than 2,000 people and their families, as well as thousands of contractors that are part of our industry. And it's urging people to be informed by facts widely available from governments and leading researchers and from each company's public reports.
Award-winning author Richard Flanagan joins us now from Hobart. Richard, good morning to you. Look, you usually write fiction, a great war book as well that you're famous for. Why did you want to delve into Tasmania's salmon industry, and what gives you the right to do it?
Well, I'd been silent for too long about this. You know, I'd witnessed personally the slow-growing destruction of waters near where I write, and I began to talk to people. I began to talk to scientists, to people in other communities. I began to talk to surfers, professional fishermen, and one after another I heard tale of horror after horror as all this beauty and wonder that the salmon industry trade on was actually being destroyed by that same industry. And it's not a clean product, it's not a green product, it's not even particularly healthy. As you said, there's contamination of Hobart's drinking water. With the Storm Bay expansion, there's the possibility of heavy metals being remobilised and re-entering recreational fisheries. There's all sorts of appalling issues with this. The actual salmon, from the point of view of your viewers, it's a highly artificial product. It's dyed with a petrochemical, otherwise it'd just be a bland, sickly grey. It's 1/3 chicken. It's actually made from the industrial waste from industrial chicken farms. It's chicken fat.
Hang on, just explain that. It's 1/3 chicken.
The salmon is.
The salmon?
The feed of Tasmanian salmon is up to 1/3 mashed up remains of chicken. So it's mashed up heads, guts, claws, beaks, whatever, feathers and fat. You know, and this has consequences. So what this means is the omega-3 levels of salmon, Tasmanian salmon's actually halved over the last 20 years. So you're only getting half that effect you were 20 years ago, but at the same time the omega-6 levels, which are the bad fats, have actually shot up. Now the omega-6s are associated with a whole lot of significant health issues, but they also have the effect of making the absorption of omega-3s much harder for the body. So not only are you getting less omega-3s, but because of the omega-6s, it's harder for your body to absorb even the reduced omega-3s that you have. But that's not the bad news. I mean, there's actually a petrochemical derivative called a thoxyquin that's in the salmon you eat. That's used to stabilise the fish meal they feed the salmon that they bring from South America. Now, to stop that fish meal exploding, they have to use this chemical called a thoxyquin. A thoxyquin was developed by Monsanto in the 1950s as a pesticide. Its other principal use is to stop rubber car tyres cracking. That's been associated with cancer in animals. Now, I should point out that the salmon feed manufacturers make the point very clearly that the amount of a thoxyquin they use is within European limits. But when you look at the work of European scientists, they're extremely concerned. Dr. Victoria Bonnet was assigned by Norway's very prestigious National Institute of Nutrition and Seafood Research to research this very issue of a thoxyquin in salmon, and she made European headlines in 2015 when she said she no longer dared eat salmon on German TV because of a thoxyquin.
Okay, let's just...
So there is problem after problem. Now,
Yeah, there are a lot. We understand because we have got a short amount of time, as you understand. A lot of claims. First of all, surely our authorities are regulating this industry, and let's give the union side representing the salmon industry. They say your book is an attack on hardworking Tasmanians. The TSGA says, and we quote, Tasmanian salmon is a global leader, independently accredited by organisations like the Aquaculture Stewardship Council, Best Aquaculture Practices, and the RSPCA. What do you say to that?
I say two things. First, it is very far from world's best practice, as my book outlines in substantial detail. Two, if the unions and the politicians were actually serious about the jobs of anybody other than the CEOs and the fat cats on the boards, they would be agreeing with me that this industry has to be cleaned up and got onto land where it does far less environmental damage. Because I can tell you there's a revolution happening in salmon farming around the world, and it's going to land-based, which is far cleaner and far less damaging. It's not happening in Tasmania because the authorities won't insist on it, and they keep on giving away the seas. These seas and coastal waters, which mean so much to Tasmanians and which are being destroyed in front of their eyes all over Tasmania. There is a solution, and that solution will guarantee those jobs. But I can tell you, if the politicians refuse to act, the unions will discover their workers will be out of a job within 10 years, and that's a tragedy I don't want to see. I want this industry to continue, and I want those jobs to be there in 10 years and 20 years. But this industry has to stop lying to itself and lying to the Australian public.
Well, Richard Flanagan, you've certainly shocked us all this morning, I think. All of us who have salmon at least once a week. That's extraordinary. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? Richard's book, Toxic, the Rotting Underbelly of the Tasmanian Salmon Industry, is out now.
Look, that is really concerning. Look, leave it with us. We'll see if we can follow it up tomorrow with an independent person, because we've got Richard's claims one extreme, we've got government and the unions on the other.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a balanced person to take us through.
In the middle.
I eat salmon twice a week, as most Australians do.
A lot of people do.
I'm horrified at that.
And the interesting one is he's saying he's got a solution that could keep the jobs.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Moving it onto land base.
Yeah, exactly.